Hello, reporter room investigators. Welcome. I'm so happy to see you guys today. My name is Jessica Davies. I'm an investigative journalist. My job is to investigate crimes, crime scenes, and potential suspects and show you how to do the same thing. If you are a critical thinker who likes to have all of the information so you can make up your own mind, then you are in the right place because here at Reporter Room, we have the smartest channel members. Everything I'm sharing is my opinion, and this video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. So with that said, please subscribe. Let me grab that. Tell me where you're from.
This is Reporter Room with Jessica Davies.
So today we have so much stuff to dig into, you guys. You're not going to believe what I found out. First of all, we're going to be talking about Ann Taylor, and she was caught violating Judge John Judge's order this week. We're going to talk about that. I'm going to show you Instagram proof. I'm going to show you proof, new proof that BK was following Kaylee and Maddie on Instagram. I'm going to go through TikTok. Will this exonerate Bryan Kohberger? Will this implicate Bryan Kohberger? I'm going to go through the data because it could do either one. And we're going to talk about the fact that we have three witnesses who have seen BK, who saw BK leading up to the crimes on the campus of the University of Idaho. What was he doing there? And finally, we're going to go through the Bryan Kohberger traffic stop together. We're going to talk about the alibi witness because I believe I know who the alibi witness is. So we're going to do that at the same time. So let's go ahead and dig into all of this. So we're going to start by discussing the fact that Ann Taylor was caught fishing around for info on potential jurors. She was caught red-handed. She was violating the judge's order, and I'm going to share more proof about BK following the victims on Instagram, and we're going to look at the TikTok warrant and how this warrant could exonerate or incriminate Bryan Kohberger. And I'm also going to share with you who Bryan Kohberger's alibi witness is, and we're going to go through his traffic stop. We're going to listen to his voice. We're going to watch his body language together. So Ann Taylor was caught fishing for information about potential jurors. Latah County prosecuting attorney Bill Thompson took issue with some of the questions in the survey that Ann Taylor was putting out on behalf of BK's defense team. And BK is innocent until proven guilty, but I am talking about this case in terms of BK because he's the only one who's been indicted by the grand jury, who's been arrested, and who is sitting in jail. So Latah County prosecution attorney asked Judge John Judge to stop this survey in a motion that he filed under seal. So I can't show you the motion, but I can show you this. So let me grab this. Let me take this down. This is really shady, you guys. Tell me where you're from, and let me grab this. All right, so here we go. You guys should be able to see this. Yep. Okay, so Ann Taylor got caught fishing around for information about potential jurors. My source on this is Newsweek. I have 5 packages plus 2 videos to go through today. So we have so much to dig into, you guys. So BK's attorney is seeking more information. She was on potential jurors in the Idaho case. Is she trying to trigger a change of venue by prejudicing the jury? Is it win at any costs at this point? Because the gag order was put in place to protect BK. It was put in place to protect his right to a fair trial. And I think the prosecution's really been great about not spilling stuff into to taint the jury pool. Apparently the same cannot be said, but Ann Taylor's pitching a fit, you guys. She filed a motion criticizing the prosecution. Well, I guess she's criticizing the judge too, because he already ruled on this. But the judge has barred both sides in the case from communicating with potential jurors for obvious reasons, right? I mean, the prosecution can't communicate with potential jurors, neither should Ann Taylor. So this is what Ann Taylor, she is not having it. She is throwing a fit. She says, late on Friday afternoon, the state filed this motion to prevent contact with potential jurors. The motion included attachments. Late Friday afternoon, the filing was a strategic action by the state. Really, the state was just asking the judge to uphold the motion that he had already ruled on, which is neither the prosecution or the defense team should be reaching out to potential jurors. What do you guys think? Ann Taylor went on to note that her team said, and again, this is, in my opinion, her way of trying to get my client is the underdog in all of this, went on to note that her team had said they were conducting surveys of our possible jurors, had notified the prosecution of this. On March 21st, counsel for the state and defense met. The defense provided a curriculum vitae for its expert and discussed the survey and its content. The defense informed the state such surveys were common practice. The state could have easily and likely did find this was very similar. So is it? Because Judge John Judge had already issued an order barring both the prosecution and the defense from communicating with any possible jurors. He said, quote, the order said, I'm going to read the order. On March 22nd of 2024, the state filed seal motion for order prohibiting further contact with prospective jurors absent leave of court. This is what the order said. So both parties are prohibited from contacting potential jurors about this case. So Ann Taylor can say what she wants to say. The prosecution said it was fine. I don't think they did, because I don't think they would be running to the judge about this. But the judge already ruled on this. The judge already ruled. And she's supposed to do what the judge says, not what the prosecution says. So I don't know. What do you guys think about this? I think it's really, really absolutely crazy. Let me say hello to chat, and then I want to go ahead and talk about TikTok, because is this going to exonerate BK? Is this going to convict BK? I'm also going to show you new proof that BK was following the victims on Instagram. We're going to talk about multiple sightings of BK by 3 different witnesses on the University of Idaho campus. What was he doing there? We're also going to talk about the alibi witness. I'm going to tell you who I believe the alibi witness is. And we're going to go through that traffic stop together. We're going to look at his body language. We're going to listen. This was the one that he did in Pullman, not the one that he and his dad did. So we have a lot of interesting statements. And this is what gave me clues as to who the alibi witness is going to be. So let's look at proof that BK was following the victims on Instagram. Oh, let me say hello to chat too, you guys. I'm so sorry. This is interactive, and please tell me where you guys are from. Let me just say hello. I am way off on the chat. Okay. Amelia is our head mod. For those of you that don't know, please subscribe and give this a thumbs up. Welcome. So Natasha says hello. And I do want to thank our mods and our channel members. I say, okay, so Ryan was seeking for attention. He couldn't control himself. He had to brag on the media what he had done. So he was true when he asked the police if they found the other one. I don't know who Ryan is. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Tara. I hope you feel better. Annette's here. Hey. So it's good to see you guys. I just want to say hello to chat. It is called social media because we're supposed to be social. So we're going to have a great chat today, guys. Bring me your questions. Tell me where you're from. Thanks, Njaz. Njaz says, please hit the like button. It's very much appreciated. If you guys see people with check marks in the chat, those are our channel members. And I'm going to share their names with you in just a few minutes. Hello, Jane. Tara's here. Hey, Holly. Good to see you. Got Kimberly and Crystal and Kibby. Roman. Olwen is here all the way from Ireland. How about that? Florence from California. Oh, Zero's here. We're going to have a great chat, you guys. We have some really good people. in the chat today that are going to bring great questions. All right. I'm so glad you guys are here with me today. Thank you so much for joining me. Hey, Lene, good to see you. Rita's here. Cynthia's here. Yeah, we're going to have an awesome chat. You guys, we have such a good group. We are so lucky. Okay, this is great, you guys. So come on in, come on in. And I'm going to show you proof that BK was following two of the girls on Instagram. Hey, brother Mike. Welcome. Okay, so we have a lot of great people here. Florence is here. All right, so hello. Come on in. Please share this on your socials. Tell me where you're from. We have everywhere from California. Sarah says it's not time for jury selection. I know she doesn't want to set a trial date, but she's already trying to taint the jury. Thanks for that, Njaz. Veronica says, I'm subscribed, but only with your videos. No one else is. It stops after a few minutes and starts again. It's got to be your connection because we're smooth here. So yeah, we're going to talk about TikTok. So could this exonerate BK? Could this implicate BK? What do you guys think? Well, first of all, let's start with going through. I want to show you proof that BK was following two of the victims on Instagram. And we're going to talk about TikTok. Is this going to exonerate him? Let me move myself out of the way. Okay, so what you're seeing here is you're seeing BK's TikTok account. I'm sorry, let me clarify that. You are seeing his Instagram account. Okay, this is his Instagram account. It's been deleted now, but this was the account. You can see it is him. And this was put up before. This was deleted once after, like around the time he was arrested. Law enforcement took it down. Okay, so this is proof. He had 1,626 followers and he was following 101 people. He had only made one post. And a lot of the people that he was following on this account were family members. They also had the last name of Kohberger. So that to me verifies that this was indeed his account. So who is his account following? Okay, you can see here. Right here is Maddie Mogen. She is 1, 2, 3 people down. And then if you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people down, and you see the little pixie fairy, you can see Kaylee Goncalves. So he was indeed following the victims. So this whole nonsense of, oh, he doesn't have any connections to the victims is just that. It's nonsense. So I just wanted to bring you that. And I also wanted to share with you a new photo of, this is a close-up just to show you I'm not faking it. This is real. Maddie Mogen and Kaylee, this is what just to show you that is what you're looking at here. I just made them a little tighter so you guys could see. And I have a new picture of Maddie and Kaylee. I'll share this with you guys. And that's just such a beautiful picture. All right, so we have so much to unpack here. We're going to talk about the TikTok. So is this going to exonerate BK? TikTok, this could exonerate him. This could also incriminate him. And I'm going to share with you who the alibi witness is in just a second. So please stay with me. Let me put myself here. Okay. So let's talk about this for a second. So TikTok could exonerate, it could incriminate BK, and I'm going to share with you who the alibi witness is. I'm going to show you proof that BK was on the University of Idaho campus. And we're going to go through that traffic stop. We're going to listen to his voice, look at his body language. This is the one in Pullman, Washington. So once you download the TikTok app and accept their terms and conditions, TikTok can use your phone's SIM card, your IP address to approximate where you are. Even when you've opted not to share your location with the app, TikTok may be tracking you. So let me just show you the receipts on this. I'm going to take this down and grab this. Okay, precise GPS data. So we know there was a warrant for the TikTok information. So could this exonerate BK or could this implicate BK? Because TikTok shows precise GPS data. So even if BK had his phone switched off and not in airplane mode, but we don't know if it was in airplane mode or switched off at the time of the crimes on November 13th, we know there were 12 cell phone pings leading up to the November 13th crime. So this GPS data should be able to line up with the cell phone pings. So let's go through this a little bit together. So what does TikTok gather from you? You might want to know this just for your own personal. I am getting an eye-opening thing. So TikTok monitors how you use your device, how it functions, including your keystroke patterns, rhythms, how much battery charge you have left, your audio settings, and your connected audio devices. So it's able to and it's also able to identify, quote, the objects and scenery that appear in your videos. So if you're posting yourself on TikTok, it's figuring out where you are, not just from your GPS, but from the background with your body, your face, your images, but anything that's in the back. It also monitors the text of the words spoken. So they tell you this, and this is my source on this. Let me just share that is CBC out of Canada. So I know that in the United States, it's now banned for federal employees to have TikTok on their device, on their government device. So, and that's because it can track where you are, who you're talking to, what you're doing. So, like, it monitors your device, how it functions, including your keystroke. So, this is a major security risk because who owns TikTok? It's owned by China. So, that's a problem. So, social media businesses rely on analytics, such as selling advertising, and that's a lot of what your habits are used. But in this case, law enforcement could use it to either say he was, not lining up with the 12 cell phone pings. If he had his cell phone in airplane mode, it will help them pinpoint where he was on the day of the crime. So if he did put his phone on airplane mode, this could potentially exonerate him. If he switched it off, maybe not. Robert Potter, the co-founder of and CEO of Canberra cyber security firm Internet 2.0, says TikTok isn't completely transparent with its more than 1.5 billion users. His company examined social media apps, and he said that TikTok can collect precise GPS location from users, much more precise than the company once admitted. Okay, so if prosecutors line up the 12 cell phone tower pings with Strava and with TikTok and with Snapchat, they're going to be able to paint a pretty clear picture of where BK was during this, right? So what do you guys think? Let me add this back in. Let me check in with chat, and then we are going to be talking about the multiple sightings of 3 witnesses who saw BK on the University of Idaho campus in the days leading up to the crimes. And then I'm going to share with you his traffic stop, and I'm going to tell you who the alibi witness is. So let's check in with chat. Drop your questions, guys, and please share this on your socials. Subscribe if you haven't already. All right, so I'm looking down. I'm looking for questions, guys. Zero said, I guess she wants to survey. She's talking about Ann Taylor for the uninformed jury pool. Yeah, and this violates the judge's order on this, right? It's supposed to be the judge ordered that the prosecution was not supposed to be, and the defense, nobody's supposed to be reaching out to potential jurors. And yet the prosecution came forward and said that Ann Taylor was doing this, sneakily violating the judge's order. Hey, Vicky. Vicky says, looking forward to the info from Texas. Come on in, bring your questions and comments. Let me know what you think about this. Do you think that the TikTok will exonerate BK? If you think he will be exonerated by TikTok and Strava, put a 1 in the chat. If you think he will not be, you think he will be convicted with this information, put a 2 in the chat. If you're not sure, put a 3 in the chat. Let's do an informal poll. Hey, Bonnie, good to see you. Naomi says, I think the judge needs to reprimand Ann Taylor for her actions. Yeah, it's egregious, right? Because the prosecution has been sticking to the gag order. So why is Ann Taylor doing an end run around the gag order on this? That's very, very strange. Zero says he could have fooled with that camera installed, changing times to make it look like he was home. Yeah, if he had been, I told you why I think he brought the phone. I think he brought the phone because he needed the GPS at a certain point to circumvent cameras. We know that his phone was switched off about an hour, hour and a half before the 404, where we see that Hyundai Elantra circling the house 3 times and then doing a 3-point turn. I believe he was dextering out his car during that time. And then on his way back from oh my gosh, from Idaho to Pullman, on his way back, the phone switches back on. And I think he was using the GPS to try to avoid cameras because we know he took this long detour around on this. So yeah, agree. Hey, Mike. Mike says, yep, she's going for a change of venue and wants to show her proof that he can't get a fair trial. Yeah. And she's going to create her own proof, right? She's going to create her own proof. Because she's going to create her own proof by tainting the jury pool herself. Hey, Madison, glad you're here. Hi, Desired. Okay, I'm looking for questions. Lene says maybe she's on the other team secretly and trying to lose the case. I don't think so. I think she's trying to win at all costs, including, tainting the jury pool. Mike says, I bet I know what his followers were. They weren't his friends, just creepy account fans, etc. I don't know. I have no idea. I mean, he was a teaching assistant, so he could have had students, following him on his account. BK was stalking the girls online. So Jay says, yep, proof he was following them. Mike thinks he was stalking several people. Do you think he moved to Pullman because he had fixated on one of the girls? Hey, Natalie. And Jess says BK was stalking them, I believe. Mike agrees. Pam says so dangerous and creepy. And Jazz is welcoming everybody. Please give me a thumbs up and help me out with the YouTube algorithm. Dale says following someone does not mean you're stalking someone. Nope, that's true. But remember when Ann Taylor said that there was no connections between BK and the victims? And I've shown you multiple connections, including the fact that he was following them on Instagram. So I'm just trying to show it's scary how much these apps know about you, isn't it? Holly said, it's not just a J sound for the moment, G sound as with the word go for Mogan. Yeah, I know. I have a friend. You're right, Holly. Thanks for that. I have a friend that says the same name, same last name, but she pronounces it Mogen. So I don't know if I'm gonna try to just correct myself here and say Mogen. Zero. Who is the friend he installed the cameras for? We don't know her name. That was a WSU student. For those of you that don't know, BK tended and befriended a WSU colleague at Washington State University. And I'm going to show you the 3 witnesses that saw BK at the University of Idaho, where he he wasn't in school there. So what was he doing there? And we're going to go through the traffic stop, not the one that's on his way to Albrightsville, Pennsylvania, but the one that was done early on before he was ever committed these crimes. If he did, he's innocent until proven guilty. He has not had his day in court yet, but he was accused of killing these young people. Let me just put it that way. I think that's a better way to say it. So he tended and befriended a WSU colleague who has since come forward after he was arrested. She came forward to law enforcement and she let them know that this is what they believe happened. They believe that he went into her house and staged a break-in, but didn't take anything. He just moved some stuff around, but enough to make her nervous. And he's tending and befriending her. So while he's got her on the phone, he offers to come over and install a security system. And law enforcement found that he got her Wi-Fi password in the process, and he used her own security cameras that he put in to spy on her. And I believe we will hear more about this at the trial. No, it can follow you everywhere. Good to see you guys. All right, so I'm looking for questions. China, I don't know. I don't know. Um, I don't want to talk about that. Uh, Jane, he could easily adjust the times on the camera showing the parking lot, showing he was home all night. Brother Mike thinks it's spyware. Green Lantern, everyone believes he was stalking, but there is zero proof. Oh, I don't know. I think there is going to be proof. I think there's going to be proof with the Strava accounts. I think there's going to be proof with the TikTok. So, I mean, we'll see. We'll see. But he did have connections to the victims. So that's really what I want to say. Lene says, I'm a believer of that also. Lori says, BK was stalking them, so he was following their post. And from the post, he might have learned where they live, where they may be hanging out, layout of their home, depends on the girl's post. Yeah, think about when you are following somebody on social media, you can see what time of day they post. So when are they awake? When are they asleep? Where do they like to go? You can look in the background. You can learn a lot from somebody's social media. Owen says, thank you for explaining. I was having trouble understanding it. Oh, no problem. Mike says, how do you know we have not seen the evidence? There's a gag order. We only know 15% of the case. Yeah, I think we know like very, very little, but let's dig into this. Hey, Amelia, if you don't know, this is our head mod. This is Sixth Sense Amelia. So let's dive. Let me just show you the proof that BK was going to be, that BK was, let me grab this, was on the University of Idaho campus. Why was he there? Okay, so my source for this, let me share this instead. I think I have to pull the other one down. Yeah, I have to pull this down. Do you guys see it okay? And let me move myself. There. Okay, can you guys see this okay? All right, so my source on this is the New York Post. Just want to show you that. So let me make sure I'm sharing the right thing. Yep, okay. All right, so BK was seen on the multiple times on the University of Idaho campus, you guys. Get this. Okay, so one sophomore told People magazine that she saw BK drinking water at the food court at the student union as he sat alone. So how did he get into the campus? Because most of these rooms, you have to have an ID. You have to swipe in and out. So did he have an ID? We know there was an ID found of one of the victims inside a glove, inside a box. Had he managed to procure an ID? So this is one of the students. She said, quote, he was the type to stare. He wouldn't look away if you caught him staring. Like he wanted you to notice that he was looking at you. This student's name was Chelsea. She said, quote, he didn't smile, didn't nod, didn't say anything, just stared because the eye contact was making me uncomfortable. And how many times have we heard people come forward to say he was making me uncomfortable? A lot, right? Chelsea added, it was weird that we ended up leaving and eating outside because we wanted to get away from him. So that is really making people uncomfortable. And you have to wonder if it was like some kind of a power trip that he was enjoying, making these young women feel uncomfortable. Or is he just, give off that much of a creeper vibes? I don't know. Let me know in the comment section below if you think he was intentionally trying to make them feel uncomfortable by staring at them. This is not the only witness. There's 3 of them. Another student said she saw BK so often that she assumed that the Washington State University PhD student was actually attending the University of Idaho. She said, quote, it's not a huge school. It's like a small town. So you start seeing the same faces again and again. They become familiar, like that you've seen them in class or around campus. So why was he hanging out at the University of Idaho so much? What do you guys think? The student described BK as really quiet, and here we go with the staring again, just really quiet and really intense staring, adding that he made me uncomfortable. So this is the second student. This is separate from the other one. This is separate from Chelsea. This is the second one. Again, talking about staring. So was he sitting at the University of Idaho? Was he intentionally trying to intimidate young women? Or did he just, stare and just make people uncomfortable naturally? What do you guys think? So that's two. Now we have a third student also told the news outlet that they recognized BK after he was arrested and charged in the November 13th crimes. I'm watching my words. So a law enforcement source told people that they believe that BK spent some time on the University of Idaho campus. Whether or not BK is guilty of doing away, I'm watching my words, with these, there's something wrong if a grown man who isn't a student can just wander around the campus. This is Mar Sampson, whose daughter was a student last semester. She said, quote, everyone needs to be aware of their surroundings and should feel free to speak up if someone makes them uncomfortable. I agree. So these sightings by the three students, these were not the first time that BK made them feel uncomfortable. The owner of the Seven Sirens Brewing Company, so this is not Idaho, this is back, the Seven Sirens is in Pennsylvania when he was going to DeSales University. So when he was getting his bachelor's degree, he said BK harassed women at his bar where he usually sat alone, observing and watching other patrons until he started drinking. He said that BK's behavior, again, this is the bar owner of the Seven Sirens in Pennsylvania. So BK's behavior caused enough concerns for employees to put a note in the company system about him. So they had a note about him in their system. He said, quote, staff put it in there. Hey guys, this guy makes creepy comments. Keep an eye on him. He'll have 2 or 3 beers and then just get a little too comfortable. So this is from the owner of Seven Sirens, Jordan Sirulnik. I hope I'm saying that right. If I am, please forgive me. So I think that's really, really interesting. So let's go to the People article and go through this a little bit, and then I'm going to check in with chat, and then we're going to go through that traffic cam stop. This is the body cam of before the crimes. So we have a lot of him talking. We can see his face. We can look at the body language, but it also has clues as to who the alibi witness is going to be. And we're going to go through that together in just a second. So BK had visited, and he was the type to stare. So was this staring him intimidating these young women? Was this part of his power trip? What do you guys think? So police, 3 different students have told People that they believe they saw BK at the Student Union building on the Idaho campus in the weeks leading up to the crimes. I'm watching my words. And they later recognized him after he was arrested. So this talks again about what Chelsea said. It was really early in the semester. She was a sophomore at University of Idaho. He was out at the food court. So that's inside the student union. Drinking water, he sat by himself. So he wasn't there meeting friends. He was just sitting alone in the student union. She said he was the type to stare. He wouldn't look away if you caught him staring, like he wanted you to notice that he was looking at you. He didn't smile, didn't nod, didn't say anything, just stared. I feel like this was a way to intimidate. I do. I think he was intentionally trying to make them feel uncomfortable, and it worked. Chelsea said, I told my friend not to be suspicious, but to look at him because the eye contact was making me uncomfortable. She said it was so weird that we ended up leaving and eating outside because we wanted to get away from him. And then the other student said she saw BK frequently around campus enough. She thought he was a student there. She said it's not a huge school. It's a small town. So you start seeing the same faces again and again. They become familiar, like you've seen them in class or around campus. I definitely saw him more than once. He was just really quiet, really intense staring. He made me uncomfortable. And then we have the third sighting, which I shared with you in the other article. So I think there are going to be 3 witnesses that take the stand in this case that say that they saw BK at the University of Idaho and that he was making them feel uncomfortable. All right, so let's grab this one.
There was no indication of a forced entry. No.
I don't think it was 2 people, because the more people you have going into that house, the more likely that it is that they were going to be seen. So I think it's 1 male, young enough to have been in that neighborhood.
He had to be somewhat confident.
This is Reporter Room with Jessica Davies.
Okay, so we're going to go to this body cam footage. All right, so I had that synced up. Let me say hello to chat, and we're going to go through that, and because that gives us clues as to who the alibi witness is, and I'm going to tell you who it is in just a few minutes, in just a few moments, so please stay with me. Mike says, they obviously have evidence. Everything Ann Taylor is going to act like they don't, but the trial is going to show there is. Thank you so much, Olwen. Yeah, I think that the information I'm bringing you is super chat worthy. If you guys feel so inclined, I really appreciate it. It helps me. Everything I get in super chats, I put back toward the channel. I'm trying to save up for some better sound equipment and some better recording equipment. Jane thinks that Ann Taylor is corrupt. Oh, and I thank you so much, Olwen. I was so excited about the super chat. I forgot to say thank you. But thank you so much. All right, so we did the poll. Mike thinks it's a 2. Alicia says 1. Pam gave 3. David 2. Jane 2. Madison says 2. Rena 2. Tizetta 2. Broman says 2. So this is our informal poll. If you think it will exonerate him, put a 1 in the chat. If you think it will implicate him, put a 2 in the chat. If you think it will do, you don't know yet, you can put a 3 in the chat. Mike says the grand jury saw there was plenty of evidence, so I'm betting there is plenty. Amelia says thank you to Olwen. Yeah, thank you to all our mods. Olwen put a 3. Wicked Mina says put a 2. I hope I'm saying your name right. Penjam put a 2. Alicia put a 3. Cheryl put a 2. All opinions are welcome, guys. Just share them respectfully. Dale says, how would the defense be violating an order for jury pool if the prosecution has been doing this the whole case? I don't think the prosecution has been doing this at all. I haven't seen anything where the defense has come forward to say the prosecution has been violating the gag order. So I'm not really sure. But you know, you're not supposed to be reaching out to potential jurors. I think if the prosecution had been doing this, Ann Taylor would definitely be letting you guys know. Cynthia put a 2. I just said the choices again, Holly. So if you missed it, I just said it again. Desired says, I read statistics. When we know only 10% of the evidence before the trial, everyone thinks the state has no proof of his guilt. Hey, Cynthia. Barbara says 3. Green Lantern says that was cover MPD circling. Alicia says, I think the roommates need to be looked into further. I mean, something doesn't add up. If it walks like a duck, talks like a duck, it's a duck. In what way? I mean, we know law enforcement already they interrogated the roommates. So they haven't been charged with anything. So in what way would you say that they need to be looked into further? Law enforcement already looked into them and has cleared them. So I don't know about this whole duck, what the duck analogy means. I don't know, but I haven't found any evidence. And if I did, I would bring it to you that implicates either of the roommates. And for all we know, and I just want to this isn't directed at you, Alicia, but for all we know, he was going to do the roommates next. The only reason, and I told you my theory of why I think that the roommates survived, is because I believe Xana, he came in through the second patio doors, the perpetrator did, right? Through the second floor patio doors. We've seen the photographs where they were open, so I believe the door was left open, and he would have wanted to minimize his low cards exchange principle, which states that every contact leaves a trace, which means if you're going to leave a little bit of evidence behind, a little bit of trace evidence behind, and you're going to take a little bit with you. So I think he would have wanted to minimize this by popping the sliding glass door and going in, right? So he went in through the sliding glass doors, but he didn't close them behind him to minimize his contact, trying not to leave a trace, and headed upstairs. Maybe he did not know that Xana had DoorDash delivery. I don't know what he saw when he was circling the house and did that 3-point turn. He circled the house 1, 2, 3 times and then did that 3-point turn, parking at the 1122 King Road house. He went upstairs and did what he did to Kaylee and Maddie. I'm watching my words. And someone came out, I believe it was Xana, came out of her room because Dylan says she heard someone say, "There's someone here." So it was loud enough that Dylan heard somebody say it. Now, she thought maybe it was Kaylee, but Bryan would have also heard this. He would have heard somebody call out to warn everybody, "There's someone here." I think at that point he came down the stairs and encountered Xana as she was bringing her DoorDash. She would have known the door was open. She would have felt the cold air. It was cold that night coming in from that patio door. So that's why I believe Xana called out, "There's someone here." I believe it was cold. And at that point, I think he chased Xana back into her room where he did away with Xana and Ethan. And then he was in a hurry to get out the door, right? Because he was afraid because someone had said, "There's someone here." He didn't know if someone had called 911. So just to address the roommates, for all we know, it might have been Dylan next and Bethany next. But he was worried, in my opinion, that someone had called 911 because somebody called out, "There's someone here." And I think so that's why I think the roommates survived. We'll find out more at the trial. Jane thinks Ann Taylor is tainting the jury pool. No Drummer says he can't get a fair trial anywhere. Yeah, I think that, this case is international. Kenny put a 2. Debbie says, I think the jury pool has already been tainted. 6 Cents Holly says, see the pin message 1, 2, or 3. Wasn't the Fair Boys on YouTube autoplay left their phones at home that way? Yeah, he could have done that. But I think he needed his phone with him to try to circumvent those CCTV cameras. We know he took a big old detour from the 1122 King Road house in the Hyundai Elantra. We know he took a big detour, right? He took a big detour to get back to Pullman. So law enforcement has that car on CCTV. Ann Taylor admitted it was Bryan's car. She admitted it in the hearing. Brandy says, why is she not getting the things she needs? Well, I don't think being allowed to contact prospective jurors isn't getting the things you need. Even she admitted she had 95% of the information, right? So if she has 51 terabytes of information and she says it's going to take her until the summer of 2025 to go through everything, well, then the prosecution has all of the same information to go through, right? So they had a few weeks of a head start, but not a huge head start. So if they still have 5% of the information and they're still going through things, that's not her not getting everything that she needs. If the trial was about to start, like we were, 3 weeks out and she didn't have everything, she didn't have all the discovery, well, that would be a problem. But we don't even have a trial date set, and she wants summer of 2025. And even then she doesn't know if she can be ready. So, if she needs until the summer of 2025 to go through all of the information, well, guess what? The prosecution has to do the same amount of due diligence that she does. So I don't think it's that. I just think that's the narrative that she wants out there because it makes her client look like the underdog instead of the perpetrator. Green Lantern says, knowing what he studied, you think he would circle a house with cameras around? He would, I don't know. There's no evidence of the frat boys doing anything. If you have any evidence, feel free to share it. And by that, I mean, credible evidence. But I haven't seen any evidence that the frat boys have anything to do with it. I did look into that. Kenneth Hall says she's been going for the gold and she wants a multi-million-dollar book deal post-trial. Oh, wow. Pam says, I think he was going to do this wherever he ended up. He'll find someone, and he did. Catherine said, hello, everyone. If she breaks the law to influence the jury, pool she knows is guilty, then that she has no chance. It does sound desperate, right? A little bit. Unspoken heart stillness is, then why would you follow them? That is stalking. Exactly. You would have, there's no, I mean, it's okay to follow somebody, but I'm not showing this to say anything other than he did have connections to the victims. I've just been showing you guys proof after proof after proof that he does have connections to these victims. Amelia says a live streamer did that. His alibi was that he was live streaming. He actually wasn't. Dale says, where are the messages that he left the girls if he was stalking them? We'll see them at the trial. We'll see them at the trial. He messaged them repeatedly. Christy and Steve Goncalves saw them. I don't think they're just making it up. I trust them. I think they know more than what we've seen. Madison says he was stalking Maddie. I believe he met her at the Mad Greek and was obsessed with her. No Drama says, I couldn't say whether or not he's guilty with the evidence that's been made public. And I think that's fair, right? Nobody's saying that we're going to find him guilty. I'm just showing you guys all of the information because we have really smart viewers on Reporter Room. We don't all have to agree. It's okay that we have differing opinions. It's okay that, that you guys don't agree with me on everything and that I don't agree with you on everything. The important thing is that we're gathering all the information and then everybody can make up their own mind. We have smart viewers on Reporter Room. We have smart subscribers on Reporter Room. And that's because this channel, they like to have all of the information so they can make up their own mind. Oh, speaking of which, I'm going to be airing the Chad Daybell trial, which is in Idaho. It's also a capital punishment case. It starts on Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern time. So come and watch it with us as a Reporter Room community. Amelia says the defense job is to get their client off or a minimal sentence. It isn't to enforce justice. Cynthia says he was so condescending to the female officer. Cynthia says, one of the things that sticks in the back of my mind when Bryan was arrested, they stated that only thing that he said was, have you arrested anyone else? Does everyone remember that? Yes, I do. I do remember that. And Jess says, great to see everybody coming into the chat. Yeah, please give me a thumbs up. Dale says, there's too many inconsistencies with local law enforcement and the alphabet police. This case is just too frivolous for it to just be guilty by mainstream media. Well, we haven't seen the evidence. We haven't seen the evidence. Prosecution isn't leaking. They're not out there trying to taint the jury pool. And Mike says, yeah, he's answering. There's a gag order. We don't get to see the evidence that exists, but it was reported by the articles. We'll have to wait for the trial. Yeah, if you haven't looked at my other live streams, I did show you a lot of receipts that show you multiple connections with the victims. Green Lantern says there's hundreds of girls in WSU. He didn't have to go to Moscow. Exactly. Why would you go there and make girls uncomfortable intentionally? 3 different girls or young women, they're not girls, they're young women, but are reporting that he made them uncomfortable. One, Chelsea, to the point where she had to go eat outside at her college in the cafeteria, but they thought he went there because he was there so often. David says, I believe he moved there because of the girls he had found on social media. The girls were Maddie and Kaylee, in my opinion. No worries, Leslie. I'm glad you're here. I thank you for sharing that. If you're late, that's okay. You guys can back it up. Tara says, I think there's a lot more evidence than we realize. Dale says, but they're using Nancy Grace to go out and slander him, put it in the mind. Nobody's using her. She's the queen. Nancy Grace is the queen of true crime. She is the OG in the true crime community. She was doing true crime reporting before almost anybody else. So I don't think anybody's feeding her anything. I think she's digging around for information just the same way the rest of us are. She's a reporter. Give me a thumbs up. Yeah, please help me out with the YouTube algorithm. Oh, that's not nice. I'm sorry. If you're going to trash another content creator on my moderators, if you're going to trash another content creator on my thing, please remove them from the chat. I'm just going to leave it there. If you do it again, I'm just going to give you the warning. If you trash another content creator repeatedly in my chat, you're going to get removed. I don't do that here. This is not a drama channel. This is a journalistic channel. Lene says stages, infatuation through rejection, extreme anger, rage. Mike says to be careful what you post on social media. And Green Lantern says if they had his car and camera at the house, it would have been out and leaked, not a blurry video from. Oh, I disagree. And Ann Taylor admitted that it was his car in the last hearing. If you want me to show you that, I will. Let me know. Do you want me to show you the proof that she said it? Let me grab that one if you guys want it. Let me grab that video file. Because Ann Taylor admits that it's his car. So let me grab that video. I'm going to do this other one first, but we'll go back through that one. Let me see if I labeled it that way. Here it is. I got it. Okay. All right. So I have that one pulled as well.
Yeah.
So we're going to go through that in a second. But right now we're doing this.
What actually happened was I was stuck in the middle of the intersection.
Yeah,
so
I was behind you the whole time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So technically you're not supposed to enter the intersection at all for that reason, because if the light turns red, then you're stuck in the intersection, and then you run the red light. So that's the reason I stopped you. Do you have your license on you?
Yep.
Do you have the registration and insurance?
Yes.
Can you guys hear the audio okay? I just boosted it.
You what?
I'm just going to get this out for you.
Okay.
So would you explain that to me a little bit further? So in Pennsylvania, when you're stuck like in the intersection, you have to make the left. So what would the appropriate thing for me to have done been? Just
You're not supposed to block an intersection like that.
So what BK did, just to give you like what he got pulled over for, this is before the November 13th crimes. What he got pulled over for was he pulled his car up into a crosswalk. He pulled it up into a crosswalk and he blocked people from being able to cross the street. Okay.
In Washington, so just by you blocking the intersection, that's technically a ticketable violation.
So the police officer tells him he was stopped in the middle of the intersection. He was actually blocking a crosswalk, as you're going to find out in a few moments. He already cannot be wrong about this. So he's going to tell her what he was, quote, actually doing.
And then you're running a red light, so it's another ticketable offense. So you're not supposed to proceed into the intersection until you...
Would you describe these eyebrows as bushy? What do you guys think? Bushy eyebrows? I think I would describe those as bushy. I know Ann Taylor's going to have them nice and trimmed now, but to me, those look like bushy eyebrows. Describe these eyebrows as bushy?
Can go, because a lot of people do what you just did, right? Is like you're sitting in the intersection waiting, and then turns, and then you're blocking, so.
Yeah, there was a little bit of confusion with speeding because someone had stopped. I wasn't sure what they were doing, and then they put on their light to turn. So I thought that maybe they were letting me go through.
Oh.
Did you see that?
No. Mm-mm.
Yeah, like right before I made the turn, there was someone who like made a right. They didn't have their signal on, so I wasn't sure if they were just waiting.
Mm-hmm.
All she wants is his license and registration so she can issue a ticket and go on her way. But he wants to have it explained to him. But he really isn't interested in having her explain it to him. He's really arguing the ticket. He pulled up into the middle of a crosswalk, blocking people's ability to cross the street. And now he's going to bring up Pennsylvania law in Pullman, Washington. Again, just arguing because he cannot be wrong.
Yeah, so I would just advise just don't enter the intersection until you can go so you don't get stuck. Let's see.
But in that situation, the best thing to do then would be back up and not...
I don't know if there's a best thing to do in that situation because you're either going to back up.
So saying the best thing you can do in this situation is to back up. No police officer is going to tell you to pull up into a crosswalk and then back up. You just don't pull and block a crosswalk. But let's watch this together. I just wanted to say thank you so much, Ed Jones, for the $10 super sticker. I do think this is super chat worthy. I've done a lot of research on this live stream for you guys. So thank you so much.
Up into somebody, or you're going to run a red light.
BK is acting like he's asking her questions, but what he's really doing is arguing with her. He does not think he has done anything wrong in pulling up into a crosswalk and blocking people's ability to walk across the street. We've heard from former classmates that said that he would do this to professors. He would argue the most minute points because he just simply had to be right. And again, this goes back to that superiority complex. And I'm going to share. So I want to bring up that because I think this is clues to the alibi witness. All right. Share with you who the secret alibi witness is going to be. And also we're going to talk about TikTok and how this will implicate BK in just a moment. So please stay with me.
So, or you're going to be sitting in an intersection. There's not really a great option there.
Yeah, I was just slightly into the crosswalk, so where I'm from Pennsylvania, we actually don't have like crosswalks.
So now he's minimizing what he did. I was just slightly into the crosswalk, still arguing, and then he tells a whopper lie. He says where he's from in Pennsylvania, they don't have crosswalks. Of course, these screenshots I'm showing you, these are crosswalks in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania has crosswalks. And for those of you that are going to run into the comment section and tell me that he lived in a rural area, listen, he drove out of the rural area. He went to DeSales University. He didn't just only stay in his little town of Albrightsville, Pennsylvania. He drove his car cross country from Albrightsville, Pennsylvania to Pullman, Washington. I'm sure he drove it plenty of other places too. He was 28 years old at the time that this happened. So he lies. They don't have the crosswalks in the parts of Pennsylvania where he's from.
Yeah, where I'm from Pennsylvania, we actually don't have like crosswalks.
So now he's minimizing what he did. I was just slightly into the crosswalk, still arguing. And then he tells a whopper lie. He says where he's from in Pennsylvania, they don't have crosswalks. Of course, Pennsylvania has crosswalks.
Oh,
so even if you're kind of slightly, there's a little bit more leeway as well. Like there are a few lines. Like there's one white line and there's another one in front. Like there's like a certain margin from which you can actually kind of put your vehicle, place your vehicle.
Yeah. So I know.
And he's nodding along, but really he's arguing. He's nodding along, but really he's arguing. And he cannot be wrong. And this is why I wanted to show this to you. One, you get to hear his voice, you get to see his body language, but also he cannot be wrong. I told you before, I thought he had a superiority complex. He has his lips pursed all the time and he's looking around. And he cannot be wrong. So even though he pulled into a crosswalk, he cannot just be graceful and accept the ticket. This is just to show a pattern of behavior, but it has clues as to who the alibi witness is going to be.
Laws vary state to state, but there is a law in Washington for blocking an intersection like that, proceeding through when you don't when you're just stalling. I forget the actual verbiage. I can find it for you, but it's like stalling, blocking an intersection.
Yeah, I'm just curious about the law. I don't mean to.
Oh no, I can find it for you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
1 second.
So he's nodding along here, but really he's arguing. And I'm going to share with you who the secret alibi witness is going to be. And also we're going to talk about TikTok and how this will implicate BK in just a moment. So please stay with me. For those of you who are interested in capital punishment cases in the state of Idaho, which is where the trial for Bryan Kohberger is going to take place, I'm also going to be airing, beginning Monday, April 1st, the Chad Daybell case. It also takes place in Idaho, and it's a capital punishment case. Join me at 11 a.m., and we're going to watch this trial together as a reporter room true crime community.
That looks good. On a Hyundai. I don't see Pennsylvania registration like at all. Okay, let's see. Expires November 22nd or 2022. Okay. And
Yeah, one of those is actually.
yeah, okay, that looks good. I'll hand that back to you. I'm just gonna go check your info. I'll try to find that RCW, the law for you, and I'll be right back.
Thank you.
All right.
And this traffic stop is part of what helped lead law enforcement to him. The fact that he had this traffic stop. What do you guys think?
Okay, so I found it. So I don't know what in Pennsylvania where you go to find laws, but in Washington it's called the Revised Code of Washington. So I'll try to turn my brightness up, but it's just called an RCW. So it's RCW 46.61.202. So it's no driver shall enter an intersection unless there is significant space on the other side of the intersection. To accommodate the vehicle he is operating without obstructing the passage of other vehicles, despite any traffic control signal indications to proceed. So you had a green light, so you're thinking you can go, but you're blocking the intersection. Yeah. So that's, if you're ever curious in any laws in Washington, just Revised Code of Washington. So I'm not writing a ticket or anything like that today. I understand you're from Pennsylvania, but in the future.
So he gets his way. He gets out of the ticket.
Don't proceed through the intersection.
So he manages to talk himself out of getting a ticket here. Let's listen in.
You can't get stopped for that alone unless you can clearly just clear it right away.
Okay.
So
then basically, I understand.
You're just supposed to wait behind the white line. Drivers do it all the time, but
it never even occurred to me that was actually something wrong. But well, except for the fact that I was blocking the crosswalk, which is what I went through.
And states vary a lot from laws. Like Pennsylvania might not even have that law, but in Washington.
I just thought it was very interesting how easily and he was willing to lie and say that they didn't have crosswalks where he came from. I mean, it's just such a, why lie about that?
Washington, we do.
And he did it really easily,
I'm
too.
Just from a very rural area, so we just don't have crosswalks.
Oh.
Can this get any crazier? So
It's
he's
cringy.
asking the law enforcement officer to believe that in his 12 years as a driver, even though he's from a rural area in Pennsylvania, and the fact that he drove his Hyundai Elantra from Albrightsville, Pennsylvania to Washington, that he is... Hold on, I think Zero just became a channel member. Hey, Zero, welcome. As a channel member. Happy that you're here. And Desired is a channel member. Oh my gosh, you guys, thanks so much for becoming part of the Reporter Room family. Never encountered a crosswalk. This guy cannot be wrong about anything.
Unless I visit an area where there are crosswalks, and then it's not very frequent.
Yeah.
I do apologize if I was asking you too many questions about the law. I wasn't trying to
No, not at all. Like, I understand you're not from here, so if you don't, a lot of people don't know a bunch of laws. Like, I only know it because this is what I do. But if you're ever curious on any more laws, just RCW, and they can be hard to read because it's in like legal language, but hope that helps.
Definitely.
Yeah, have a good day.
So I just think it's so interesting, just watching his body language on that. And you guys wanted to see, let me grab this one. Let me take some comments and then we're going to go into, you guys wanted to see you wanted to see proof that Ann Taylor admits that it's his car. So I'll share that with you guys next. Mike says, yeah, I think he moved there with this crime in mind. I don't think he just snapped. I think he built it up over the last 10 years. Zero says it's unbelievably high that came from with the decision to do what B did or to order it. But only if it's real, only if you're going to do it. Desired agrees. Pam thinks he has thick eyebrows. So yes, I do. I think the eyebrows look bushy. Look at that right there. Those look like bushy eyebrows to me. I know they'll be trimmed for the trial. Easy Mac thinks bushy eyebrows. Ray Lynch says your eyebrows look bushy. It means nothing. Well, I mean, that's the description that Dylan gave of the perpetrator in the affidavit. So I mean, it's worth pointing out. 6 Cents Amelia, our head mod, is a channel member. Lightning Fast Hammer comment disappeared. Say no says Bushy. L8 says, I do that all the time and have never been ticketed. Maybe it's different in Canada here. Sunken eyes make them look even thicker, says Mike. And Jazz says, the reporter room only ever deals in facts, no drama. Yeah, I don't want to be trashing other content creators. So feel free to make your comments. All comments are welcome, but not with the exception of going after, other content creators or harassing people in chat by adding them, like writing at them and then repeatedly. You do it once, that's fine. You're talking to each other a couple times, but if you're like repeatedly, and we had an incident, this doesn't have anything to do with what's going on here, and it doesn't have anything to do with Zero, who I'm gonna talk about that in just a second, but this has to do with something that happened a few weeks ago in chat where we had one of our that believes that BK is innocent until proven guilty, and that's all she was trying to say, and she got run out of the chat by people who were just not but just that went after her repeatedly. So Zero votes Bushy. Chris the fam says Bushy. Desired says Bushy. Jane is doing her mod thing. Thank you so much, Jane. My cat's name is Karen, says, I knew. Thank you so much. I love your content. Thank you so much, Karen. I'm glad you're here. Catherine says, yes, definitely Bushy and close to his eyes with large white, so noticeable. Jack Russell says, what Kohberger did was legal in many states. Yep. It might be. I'm going to tie this in with the alibi witness in just a second. Mike says, I don't think he's eager to be exonerated, just eager to get away with it. Jane says, my cat, so glad to have you here, sweetie. Pam says, welcome. L8 says, Ann Taylor's just stalling normal tactics for a defense lawyer that knows they have nothing. Zero says, he has come out of this as being right the smartest. Yeah, please give me a thumbs up and help me out. All right, so let me grab this other one, and then we're going to talk about who the alibi witness is, but let me grab this one, because you guys wanted me to show you where Ann Taylor admits that it is BK's car. So let me go to that. And then I'm going to tell you who the alibi witness is, y'all.
There's been an ongoing discussion about the alibi deadline, and the state is asking the court to either limit the defendant to presenting evidence about the disclosure that he made related to the alibi, which was that he was driving around the night of the homicides, but not allowing any
Welcome, Heather Fitzgerald, to the Reporter Room family. Thank you for joining.
further discussion or evidence of an alibi.
Thank you,
given the amount
Njaz.
of time that has passed since the state requested that alibi disclosure. Alternatively, since it was in the court's scheduling order initially prior to the trial getting vacated, we would.
Thank you so much, Njaz, for gifting that channel room membership. That was so generous of you. All right, let's watch this together, because Ann Taylor is going to admit that it's Bryan Kohberger driving that car.
Ask the court to set a 10-day deadline now, because that is consistent with the alibi statute. The state does not believe it is appropriate to tie the alibi to the jury trial date in this case. The statute that sets forth that 10-day timeline is completely separate from Rule 16 and other discovery deadlines through the litigation process. I think at this point, there has been so much time that has passed, and it has frankly causes the state great alarm that the defense is discussing calling upwards of 400 witnesses during the innocence phase when we don't have, potentially don't have a full alibi disclosure. And when you look at cases regarding appeals from issues that arise during alibis that come up at trial, these cases are all defendants appealing a conviction because the state doesn't get a second chance. If the state gets ambushed at trial, that's it for us. We're asking the court to hold the defendant to a fair alibi deadline, and I think that the time has come. Thank you, Your Honor.
My understanding was that was it, but I may be wrong. Ms. Taylor.
No, when the court vacated the trial setting, the court vacated all of the deadlines.
So Ann Taylor, this is where she's telling the judge, and he's shocked to hear it, that she's going to change the alibi. But wait a minute, I wanted to show this in context because I don't want anybody to think I've just edited this around this. This is the full context of the hearing. You can watch the whole thing. I streamed the last hearing on my channel. You can go watch the hearing from start to beginning. But Ann Taylor's about to admit that it's Bryan's car. Just
including the alibi
watch.
deadline. That wasn't carved out as one that was still held through when the court vacated the rest of its scheduling order. So I don't think that we're foreclosed from that. The court also has the ability to give an extension besides the limited time by statute. In this case, it's more than Bryan was just driving around. We have let the state and the court know that we expect that will be supported by expert testimony and by cross-examination of the state's experts. I need their full cast report and the rest of the discovery related to that before I can say more about that. So to tie me to a deadline when I don't have the rest of the discovery that I've been waiting for that would relate to that will mean that I will be back asking the court to reopen it. My expert can't finish until I get the rest of the discovery as well.
And the discovery you're talking about is a video of the car?
No, I
What do you?
so the video that we talk about is one that I think the state's going to use in its case that I don't have full video on, that I'm not talking about any video of Bryan's car.
Did you catch it? What you just heard was Judge John Judge saying, quote, and this discovery you're talking about is a video of the car? And then Ann Taylor says, no. The judge says, what do you mean? And Ann Taylor says, the video we talk about is one I think the state's going to use in its case that I don't have a video on, that I'm not talking about any video of Bryan's car. And Taylor, let's watch it one more time.
I need to, so
whoops,
to tie me to a deadline when I don't have the rest of the discovery that I've been waiting for that would relate to that will mean that I will be back asking the court to reopen it. My expert can't finish until I get the rest of the discovery as well.
And the discovery you're talking about is a video of the car?
No, I
What do you?
so the video that we talk about is one that I think the state's going to use in its case that I don't have full video on, that I'm not talking about any video of Bryan's car.
Did you catch it? What you just heard was Judge John Judge saying, quote, and this discovery you're talking about is a video of the car? And then Ann Taylor says, no. The judge says, what do you mean? And Ann Taylor says, the video we talk about is one I think the state's going to use in its case that I don't have a video on, that I'm not talking about any video of Bryan's car. And Taylor confirmed to everyone that the white Hyundai Elantra is indeed BK's car. She was so caught up in trying to get her way and to put out that there was a new alibi that she slipped up and let it slip. All right, so let's go back to this.
Thanks.
Mystery alibi witness. So I'm going to talk to you about the mystery alibi witness. All right, so let's go through that together. Okay, so who is the alibi witness going to be? Well, the alibi witness is going to be Bryan Kohberger himself. Hear me out, because a lot of people are like, what? Yes, I think he's going to be his own alibi witness. And before you say, oh, but he's too smart to take the stand, the defense team would never let him take the stand. I wanted to show you this video of him arguing for this ticket and that he could not be wrong, as just to show you that he does not listen. And if you think, oh, he would never take the stand, his defense team would stop him, think about the Alex Murdaugh case. We watched Alex Murdaugh during that trial get on the stand and end up getting torn apart on cross-examination because he thought he knew better than his defense team. I will bet you dollars to donuts that Jim Griffin and Dick Hartpoulian never said they wanted him to get on the stand. I would bet you anything that they tried everything to talk Alex Murdaugh out of getting on the stand. But Alex Murdaugh thought he was superior to everyone else. He is, in my opinion, a sociopathic personality. I'm not diagnosing him. This is just my opinion. But one of the things that goes along with this type of psychopathy is a narcissistic trait of grandiosity and superiority over other people. And we saw this in the Ruby Frankie case, right? Where she was comparing herself to Jody Hildebrandt, and she was, better than Jody. And she had, all these reasons why when she was talking to her sister. So with BK, I believe he also has a superiority complex. He's pursed lips, feeling better than everybody else. This is why Ann Taylor doesn't let us watch. We have to watch the trial from like a mile back. We can't look at him closely because she doesn't want to have his face expressions on camera. But I think he is going to take the stand, and he's going to be his own alibi witness. I think the defense team will try to talk him out of it, but I don't think he's going to be talked out of it. I think he thinks just like he cannot be wrong. That's why I wanted to show you this video. He can, in his own mind, he cannot be wrong. He does not believe that he can be wrong. He thinks he can be right, has to be right on everything. And that's why I wanted to show you this video of this traffic stop, because he just simply cannot be wrong. In his own mind, he is right all the time. He knows better than everybody else. And that's why I wanted to go through the traffic stop, because that's why I think the traffic stop is so interesting. It doesn't matter to me if he got a ticket or didn't get a ticket for crossing the crosswalk. I mean, in the scope of things, who cares? But what did stand out to me was just how much he believed that he was right and that the police officer was wrong, to the point where he was willing to say that there weren't he acted like he had never encountered crosswalks before. They didn't have them where he lived. This is a 28-year-old man. He's been driving since he was 16 years old. Of course he's encountered a crosswalk. Everybody knows you don't pull your car up into a crosswalk. And again, I don't care if he gets a ticket or doesn't get the ticket, but what I do think is important is that he thinks that he doesn't deserve the ticket, that he thinks he's right over everybody else and everybody else is wrong. Let me know what you guys think about this. Jeff says, did he get a phone number from the officer like at the pool party? Maybe she joined him for some Thai food. Yeah, we all remember that video of him and his dad driving. And again, in and of itself, it's not sketchy, but when you start combining it with all the other things, it starts to look, when he's stopped on that second police stop and they want to know where they're going. Where are you guys going? His dad says to Pennsylvania. That's what Michael says. And BK says they're going for Thai food. Jane thinks he argues. Yeah, I think he could not be wrong on that video. He just could not be wrong. Grads program are picky. UW must have needed students. Mods can slow the chat down. Yeah, you can slow it down if you need to, mods. Catherine says, I think she was going to let him go anyway, so he took advantage and pretended he had her under his thumb. I just thought it was interesting because he could not be wrong, even though he was wrong to pull into a crosswalk. On the scheme of everything that he's being accused of doing, this is, a nothing burger, but it's everything. When you start looking at his demeanor and you start looking at the type of personality that he has, and then you consider the fact that Alex Murdaugh got up on the stand with the similar type of demeanor. Alex Murdaugh, just like BK, believed he could talk himself out of anything, because so many times Alex Murdaugh had been able to talk himself out of lots of things. And I believe BK has a similar superiority complex where he feels he's better than other people and that he knows better, even than this police officer. That's not the point of it. It's not the point. I don't care if he got the ticket, he didn't get the ticket. And no, I did. When I got pulled over, for the last ticket I got pulled over, it's been a while. It's been years, but I got pulled over for a ticket years ago, and I said I deserved it. Give me the ticket. So not everybody's. I wasn't going to sit there and make excuses for why I shouldn't have. I didn't feel like I was entitled to break the law. But that's not the point of watching the video together. The point of watching the video together is the fact that he cannot be wrong. Wayne says, what was the incel stalker doing at a pool party? Jeff says he's acting like an alien from another planet. We don't have crosswalks on my planet. Never occurred to me. Exactly. Coffee Cake says BK should simply have said, oops, I'm sorry, timed it wrong, and she would have probably given him a warning. And she did. She let him off with just the warning. But, he's nodding along, but he's arguing because in his mind, he cannot be wrong. Pam says, I believe WSU. Good. Maybe BK just looked good on paper. That didn't last long. Yeah, no, I mean, he started grading female students differently than male. So now we're like adding up all these things. We have female students at University of Idaho saying that he was there and he was creeping them out. We have servers at Seven Sirens saying that he's making inappropriate comments to servers, harassing them, trying to intentionally weird them out. So much that the owner of Seven Sirens said they had a note on him. We had him, it's going to be a pattern. It's not going to be one thing that the prosecution is going to show the jury, because we can all argue one thing, but it's going to be cumulative. And that's what a circumstantial case is. But yeah, BK can never be wrong. Mike says Riley Strain's phone pings knew his exact location. Perfect example of BK was known exact location, not just a 20-mile radius. Right. And if you combine that with the Strava information, and let me see if I have that where I can just show you that really quick. If you don't know what I'm talking about. Let's see. Yeah, let's talk about Strava real quick. That monitors you're walking, you're running, you're exercising. Okay, so this is an app that BK had on his phone that also has GPS. Section below. Let's discuss Strava, and then we're going to talk about the real reason that BK took his cell phone to the crime scenes. The Latah County prosecution team, being led by Bill Thompson, they put in a request for BK's Strava information. So what is Strava? Strava is an app that monitors your walking, your running, your exercising, if you will. And BK had this on his phone. They also issued search warrants to Google, TikTok, Snapchat, and a variety of other things. And I think that law enforcement's purpose in using the Strava, and we know from the Alex Murdaugh case that Maggie's cell phone and the steps that she took helped law enforcement know what happened that night. It helped them piece together the story for the trial. Well, I think by the same token that this app, Strava, which was downloaded onto BK's phone, is going to help law enforcement piece together BK's movements leading up to the night and possibly on the night of the crimes. We know that that cell phone pinged 12 times in the vicinity of 1122 King Roadhouse, that this Strava app and BK's cell phone pings as he went for a run or a bike ride will help law enforcement prove that it was his cell phone that is actually pinging and what towers they were pinging off of. It will help law enforcement narrow down, if you will, for the jury, because this is going to be a circumstantial case. I also think that the fact that law enforcement is going to have access to all of the social media information is also going to help them show interactions between BK and the victims. We're diving into the court documents, and at this time we're going to be taking a look at BK's Strava warrant. Now, according to the search warrant, we know that BK's data was requested from Strava. This is an app used by people who like to work out for running, biking, cycling. So the fact that BK turned off his cell phone or set it to airplane mode during the crimes, and I'm going to talk about the slip up that Ann Taylor made in just a second, so please stay with me. BK would have understood that taking his cell phone with him that night was a risk, so why did he take it? Was this an oversight? I don't think so. It was a calculated risk, in my opinion. And the reason he took the risk was that he knew he couldn't get in and out of the area without his car being tracked or being visible on CCTV or NPR road cameras. So the main priority would have been for him not to fall under law enforcement scrutiny that night, going to or coming back from the crime scene. So I don't think this was being careless on his part. I just think he was being overconfident. There's been a lot of speculation as to why BK left the hearing without saying thank you or even acknowledging his defense attorneys. It's gone anywhere from he had to use the restroom to he was upset. So It made me wonder, what was he so upset about? Well, listen to this exchange, because Ann Taylor lets the cat. So I'm not going to go through that. We already did that together. If you didn't see it, Ann Taylor admits that it was BK's car. She just drops it right out of nowhere. And I didn't catch it initially when I was watching the hearing. I caught it, and I shared it with you guys in a live stream a couple weeks ago. I caught it after, when I was reviewing the hearing information, trying to gather some information for something else, but I was just going through it. So anyway, I think that, it really is interesting, um, that she lets it drop that it is his car. So I want to thank our producers, George Brown, Jane J. I'm going to be airing the Chad Daybell case, Sasha Angel and Njaz. I'm going to be airing the Chad Daybell case. And I'm going to be airing the Chad Daybell case on Monday at 11 a.m. Please join me. I would love to watch this case together. It's an Idaho case, just like the Bryan Kohberger case. It's a capital punishment case, just like the Bryan Kohberger case. And if this is Lori Vallow's husband, so it should be a really interesting trial. And it's going to be televised. So we're going to watch it together as a reporter room community. So I'll be interacting with you guys in the chat while we watch it together. So if you like to watch a trial without a lot of commentary, then reporter room's your place. I don't do a lot of talking when we're watching a hearing or something like that, because I feel like I don't like people who talk over stuff when I'm trying to watch it. So we'll just be watching it kind of like with just playing kind of like how we watch the hearing, but I will be able to comment back and forth with you guys in the chat. So I think that would be really nice. So I do think it's really interesting that Ann Taylor puts him in the car. I don't know what else to say about that. She said what she said. She can't take it back. She knows. She's seen the videos. So anyway, but she wants a video that may suggest he was somewhere. Yeah, she wants a video. What she wants is what she was asking for. And that's the reason I was watching it back, was I was trying to see what exactly she was asking for. What she was asking for was, before she can give a new alibi, this is because normally Idaho law is, if you are a defendant and the prosecution asks for your alibi, you have 10 days to give that alibi. And Ann Taylor asked for an extension. Judge John Judge granted it. And so she got an extension, and months went by. And then she said, well, we have an alibi, but I'm not going to say it till the trial. And the reason we don't do that is because we don't want to go through the court does not want to go through the cost of seating a jury only to find out that you have your client on the Strava app or on the TikTok app, and you can place him at a different location, and this is his alibi. Or maybe he was seen at a 7-Eleven or a 24-hour camera somewhere else that's not at the 1122 King Road house, right? Maybe if he's in Pullman at 4:04 a.m. and they have camera footage of him, she needs to tell the prosecution so that they don't seat a jury. But so what she wants now, that she said put him in the car driving around, and I told you I thought she had to do that. She had to put him in the car driving around because she knows they have him on camera, and then we got it here. So she wants to have another bite at the apple, though. Now she wants to come forward with another alibi. And this is where I was like thinking, well, who's she going to put up? Is it going to be, one of these women who's writing him love letters in prison? Who's she going to put up for an alibi witness? And then I realized when I was watching I was going through the body cam footage of the car, this footage right here, I realized, oh my gosh,
From laws like
it's going to be him. He's going to be his own alibi witness. He's going to be the alibi witness. That's who she's going to put up on the case. And that's just, I bet you dollars to donuts, that's her alibi witness. Hey, create Vids music. Sorry about that. Okay, well, I think we will leave it there. I said that a few minutes ago, and then I kept going. I do love live streaming with you guys. I do absolutely love it so much. It's such a pleasure to get to have this opportunity to interact with you. I love hearing your different comments. I learn from reading your comments. This is why, if you have been part of the channel, you know I read the comments. If you don't get a response from me on your comments, it's because it got caught in a filter. So certain words that I don't use in my videos or in my live streams are not allowed in the chat. So if you're using words like the M word or the K word, something like that, your comment will get filtered out by the platform and I won't see it. So if I haven't responded to your comment, it's because I never saw your comment. So I just wanted to let you know that. Drop me a comment in the comment section below. I'm going to have another BK video coming out this weekend. And I have another Ruby Frankie video also coming out this weekend. And then on Monday at 11 a.m., we're going to watch the Chad Daybell trial together. I think it's going to be really, really interesting, especially since it is an Idaho capital punishment case, just like Bryan Kohberger. So join Reporter Room and set your notification bell, subscribe, and come and join me in the top chat. We'll be typing back and forth, but I'm not going to talk while the trial is going on because I like to watch it without a lot of commentary. I know you guys probably do too. And on that note, I will see you next week for our Bryan Kohberger live stream.